Hi, I'm Ryan Baxter, Senior Executive Research and Development Chef for Kraft Foodservice. Today we'll be producing a flatbread dough, and then we'll be grilling it for additional flavor and texture. Flatbreads really provide endless possibilities for developing flavors for our customers, and it's a fun way to introduce new products. So the first thing we want to do is we have set up a KitchenAid mixer with a dough hook. I'm going to bring that forward. I'm going to lower that down. And all flatbreads really have a few basic components, and I have them here on my bench. Regular flour, sometimes all-purpose, sometimes bread. We have some yeast, a small amount of salt, and of course we have water at about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's important for the development of the yeast. The enriching product that we're using today is Philadelphia brand cream cheese, and that'll give a nice sour, rich note to the final product. First step we want to do when making really almost any dough is to put the flour into our bowl. And this is instant yeast, so we can put this yeast right on top of the flour mixture. If you're using a different kind of yeast, you may need to proof it. And we're going to begin mixing this dough on a low speed with the KitchenAid mixer in order to distribute it. I'm going to take my salt and I'm going to add my salt. And then I'm going to take my 90-degree water and I'm going to add my water on a slow speed. And lastly, I'm going to take the enriching component, which is the Philadelphia brand cream cheese, and I'm going to add that to the mixture. And I'm going to allow that to incorporate. And I'm going to mix the dough for about 5 to 6 minutes to develop its elasticity and to develop the gluten in the dough. So we've mixed the dough for about 5 or 6 minutes in order to develop the gluten. We've taken the dough and we've transferred it into a lightly oiled bowl and we've covered it with plastic wrap. That's an important step because we want the dough now to double in size and increase in volume and lightness. We've done that for about 30 minutes at room temperature, and then I'm at that step right now. So I'm going to uncover the dough now, and again, you'll see that the dough has really kind of gotten light and gotten airy, and we're going to punch this dough down, and we're going to prepare it for the next step, which is shaping. Now, at this point, we're going to take this dough, and I'm going to take this little bench scraper here, which makes it a little easier, and we're going to begin to portion the dough, and we're going to do that right now, and then we'll proceed to the grilling process. So I have a scale here because we want to get some uniformity in the portioning process. And I'm going to take some of that dough, and I usually take about 4 ounces of the dough, and that's actually a nice size right there. Usually between 4 and 6 ounces is a good portion. And I'm going to take a little bit of bench flour, and you don't really need a lot, and in some cases you don't need much at all, but I'm just going to put a little bit because this is a wet dough, and this is a cupping technique. And if you'll notice is I've just sort of cupped my hand around the dough, picking up a small amount of flour if I needed, and if I take my hand away, you'll notice that this beautiful round shape is developed, and that's really an important step to get that round shape that ultimately will keep the flatbread uniform in the final cooking process. After I do that, I'm going to take a pan, I'm going to lightly spray it with vegetable spray, and I'm going to pick up this dough, and I'm going to place it on here, and then once I'm done with all of them, I'm going to take some plastic wrap, and I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to allow that to rest for about 30 minutes at either room temperature or even the refrigerated temperature. So we've shaped the dough and we've placed it in a pan and we've allowed it to rest covered for about 30 minutes in order for it to relax. We're going to go into the next step, which is the rolling of the dough and the finishing on the grill. So I'm going to take off the cover of this pan here. It's really important during the process that the dough stay covered. Otherwise it tends to form a skin. And then we're going to pick up the dough, and I don't know if you could see it on camera, but it is a very light, beautiful dough. It's fun to just hold in my hand because I could just feel the lightness. And I'm going to lightly dredge it in some flour and put it on my board. And then I'm going to take a rolling pin. Now, some chefs use their hands to do this, but I think for most consistency, I think rolling pin is probably the best tool to use. and I'm going to begin to just roll it back and forth. The shape that I like to get when I do flatbreads is something of an elongated shape, and I'm going to use bench flour as needed, but it's important, don't add more flour than you really need. It tends to just sort of make a drier finished product. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to roll it out to about 12 inches. It'll be a slightly elongated oval. And again, our goal here is to make an individual size. And it's very thin. It's probably about a 1/16 of an inch thin. So we've rolled this out to about 12 inches. You see it's a nice, thin, even round. At this point, I take a fork or a docking tool and I put some holes in it with a fork. That'll keep it from bubbling too much during the process. And then this dough right now, you notice very little flour on it, nice and thin, lightly docked, beautiful shape for an individual flatbread, is ready to be placed directly on the grill. Many operations choose to just put that directly on the grill, and that is roll it, lightly oil it, and then cook it in one complete step. For our process, we're just going to lay it on a pan right here, and we'll take it over to the grill, and we'll finish it there. So finishing flatbread doughs really couldn't be easier. I've rolled a few earlier, as you saw, and I've made an oil today that really is just very simple, and it could be any customized oil that you like. This particular one has some dried herbs, some garlic, and a little bit of red pepper flakes. I put that on top of the one side of the flatbread, and I take that and I'm going to lay that oiled side down on the flatbread onto this hot grill. And that whole process, you're going to see, is very, very quick and takes just literally seconds. So we're going to keep an eye on it, and don't walk away while you're doing this, because that's an important thing. You'll very easily burn these. You can see how they could be made to order. This particular one that I'm doing is an individual size. In a moment I'm going to show you that we can make a larger one that would be suitable for things like snacking and bar food and that whole sharing trend that we see so popular these days. Well, this one's probably just about ready to go. I'm going to turn that over, and as you could see, that little beautiful bubbly action going on, which tells us that that dough is light and well made, and it's going to have some really great yeast flavor, some beautiful grill marks. To finish those, I have a little pan here with just a small amount of salt. That salt's optional if your customers really don't want or need that, but you'll see this whole cooking process is done in about 30 or 40 seconds. I'm going to put a small amount of salt on it, and this flatbread is now ready to be used as either a bread. It could be topped and made into that traditional flatbread we've been talking about with various ingredients. It could be served as a sandwich bread. Really versatile products and very easy to produce. This Latin-inspired seafood flatbread called Shrimp Philly features a prepared pizza dough as the base, grilled shrimp, fresh cilantro, jalapenos, lime juice, and diced pineapple, finished with Philly brand cream cheese and Kraft grated Parmesan. This smoked corn and pulled pork flatbread is a great example of using the flatbread dough that we just prepared and finishing it with some smoked pulled pork, some roasted corn, some Kraft original barbecue sauce, some grilled onions, and a little bit of Kraft cheddar sharp cheese as a delightful way to show a flatbread in your operation. Thanks so much for watching. For more recipes and ideas, go to craftfoodservice.com. And while you're there, sign up for Craftworks, our exclusive online program for food professionals like you.